What's up everyone? Today we're making red beans and rice, and we're using chorizo for extra flavor. Smoky, spicy, salty, it's amazing. Top choice for any weeknight dinner. Let's go. Okay, we're gonna start how we always do with the right equipment. A bowl for our vegetables, a sharp knife, a little bench scraper thing, and of course our cutting board. The first thing we're gonna do is wash, cut, and prep all our vegetables. For our vegetables, we're going in with the usual suspects. That's celery, bell pepper, and white onion. I'm going in with about 3 stalks of celery, 1 bell pepper, and 1 large yellow onion. Then we're gonna give it about a small to medium dice on everything. Chop it up, add all your vegetables to a bowl, then set to the side. And now onto the star of the show. I got a package with about 4 links of chorizo in it, and I'm simply just gonna cut these into about 1-inch pieces. Now keep in mind, you don't have to use chorizo. You can use any type of sausage or pork product that you like. And if you don't want to add any meat, you don't have to. That's fine. That is completely up to you. Over at the stove, medium heat, any type of large heavy bottom pot. Once that's hot, a little bit of olive oil going in. Let that olive oil heat up. Add your chorizos or sausage slices, whatever you got. Cook it about 4 to 5 minutes on each side. Flip it over, make sure it's nice and golden and crispy. Put it back in, cook another 4 to 5 minutes. And guys, I wish you could smell the smell in here. It smells amazing. Once your sausages are nice and crispy, go ahead and remove them to a separate bowl. Now I know you ain't thinking about draining this oil, switching pots, or cleaning this pot out. No, don't you dare. We're gonna add our onions, celery, and bell peppers right to this pot. I'm also gonna throw in about a tablespoon of butter, and then we're gonna hit it with some seasonings. I got my special seasoning and some Goya adobo. Stir that up, and we're gonna cook this until nice and tender. And once our onions and peppers and celery are nice and tender, we're gonna add back in our sausages. And I don't know about you, but I'm not trying to lose a drop of this liquid here. That's liquid gold. That's liquid flavor. That is highly concentrated flavor. I'm gonna scrape all that back into the pot. I'm gonna stir all that in. Then we're gonna add 4 cups of chicken broth. And if you don't have chicken broth, don't sweat it. There's enough flavor in here that you could use water. Then we're gonna add about 30 ounces of our red beans, washed and rinsed, right to our mixture. Give that a stir. Then I'm crushing in 2 cloves of fresh garlic. I'm gonna add in 2 dried bay leaves. Then we're adding in a little bit more seasonings, a little bit more Goya adobo, salt and pepper, onion powder, a little bit of dried basil, and a little bit of chili powder. Give this a good stir. Then I'm cracking it with the lid, putting this into a 275-degree oven for about 3 hours. Then I'm gonna remove it from the oven, add about a tablespoon of cornstarch to a cup of water, mix it up, add it to our beans. After that, I'm raising the temp to 350 for a final hour. After that, our red beans are done. Make sure before you're ready to serve, you go in there and you fish those bay leaves out. One last thing I like to do before serving though is put a lid on it and let this sit for about 20 minutes. That's really gonna help those flavors develop, and it's gonna help it to thicken even further. Okay, I'm ready to serve. I got me a little white rice, and I'm going in with a couple of scoops of our red beans and sausage, and that is looking amazing. And of course, a little garnish action over the top, a little fresh parsley. Now you know I had to go in for a big bite on this. Just the smell alone was hyping me up. And you know guys, you know I never lie about my food, and let me tell you, this was amazing. This was some of the best red beans and rice I ever had. That sausage, that chorizo, give it that nice smoky, spicy flavor with the right amount of salt. It was perfect. I had to admit, I ate like 3 bowls of this. The only thing I could recommend though is chorizo is kind of salty. Sausage in general is kind of salty, so if you're adding the sausages, use the salt and pepper or any type of seasonings to your taste preferences. Hey, don't leave me in the dark. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. What's up guys? Today we're going to make these perfect pinto beans. We're going to start with our beans. If you're using canned beans, you're going to want to rinse them and drain them really good. If you're using fresh beans, you're going to want to soak them overnight, then rinse them and drain them. Bring them over to the sink, and we're going to fill these beans with fresh cold water. Enough water so that's about 1 to 2 inches above the beans. Okay, let's go over our seasonings. The next thing we're going to add 2 teaspoons of chili powder, 1 teaspoon of cumin, 1 teaspoon of pap, that's paprika in case you ain't know, and I got smoked paprika here, 1/4 teaspoon of Cajun seasoning, that's for a little bit of heat. I'm also going to add a dash of chili seasoning, and that's not to be confused with the chili powder. I think the chili seasoning is a little bit of a kick. A little bit of Goya adobo, special seasoning, if you know you know. I'm coming heavy with it too. Onion powder, can't go wrong with onion powder. Favorite wooden spoon. We're going to give this a mix, make sure all those spices are nice and mixed in. Then we're gonna, oh wait, almost forgot. We're also gonna grab a couple of bay leaves. I'm gonna throw a couple of bay leaves in there. Okay, we're gonna move on over to our produce that we're gonna be adding in here. We're gonna start with 1 onion, medium diced, right into the pot, 1 diced bell pepper, and 2 cloves of crushed garlic. Now this is optional, but I'm also gonna throw in 1 slice of thick cut bacon, sliced into about 4 to 5 pieces. Mix that up real good. Then we're gonna bring this over to the stove. Okay, we're gonna put this on high heat and bring this to a boil. Once it's at a boil, we're gonna turn it down to medium low and we're gonna let this simmer for 3.5 to 4 hours. Okay, we're at the halfway mark right now, and as you can see, it's reduced significantly and it's getting pretty thick. Here's a trick to help it get even thicker. Take the back of that wooden spoon, mash some of those beans up, and then stir them back in. That'll help it get nice and thick. Okay, we're at 4 hours now. The beans are nice and tender. It's super thick. The vegetables are nice and tender. Taste for seasoning, though, mine's needed a little bit more salt and pepper. Okay, guys, so here's the thing. Now, it tastes great, and that bacon gave it a nice, smoky, bacony flavor, but I'm not really into that thimpy, wimpy, floppy, uncrisp bacon, so I'm gonna take mine out and crisp it up on the flat top. You don't have to do that, but that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, make sure you fish around in there and get those bay leaves out too. There's nothing worse than biting into one of those. Okay, now as I said, we're gonna get our bacon pieces down on our flat top. We're gonna get them nice and crisp on both sides. They're fully cooked, so it should only take a couple of minutes, maybe 1 minute per side, to get them nice and crisp. It's time to plate, and we're gonna go with some traditional white rice, a nice generous scoop of our pinto beans. Woo! Don't forget to top it with your bacon, and woo, let's go. This was absolutely amazing. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. What's up, guys? Today we're gonna make the ultimate steak, rice, and gravy recipe. We're gonna start with the vegetables. Here I got a sweet yellow onion, a sweet orange bell pepper, which normally I would go with green, but I have not any, and of course that mandatory celery. Prep the veg, a medium dice on all of these. Look at that camera work. With our veg all prepped, we'll put this to the side and start working on our meat. And here I have some thinly sliced steak. Now, the cut of beef really isn't that important. In fact, the cheaper would probably be the better option because this is gonna cook so long inside that gravy. It's gonna get super moist and super tender. So cheap is probably preferred for this recipe. We're gonna pat it dry on both sides with some paper towels. And we're gonna cut all of this meat into some nice size pieces. Then we're gonna put that to the side. With all of our meat cut and laid out, it's time to get the seasoning. I got some Goya adobo, some onion powder, and some of my special seasoning, which is just garlic powder, more onion powder, salt and pepper. We're gonna season these and then go over and start browning our meat. We got our heavy Dutch oven, a little bit of olive oil, and once that's nice and hot, we'll start adding our meat and browning. We're gonna work in small batches so we don't overcrowd the pan, and once that meat is in, we're gonna season the other side and cook it until it's nice and brown. Once your meat is nice and brown, flip it on the other side, cook the other side about a minute, and then you're gonna repeat those same steps with the rest of your meat. Once our meat is all nice and brown and we got this delicious, nutritious looking fond on the bottom, that's exactly what you want. Pat of butter. What we're gonna do next is add our onions and vegetables. Add a touch more seasoning, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna cook these vegetables down, sweat them, scrape up the fond on the bottom. I mean, look at the pan, nice and clean. All that flavor is inside of our onions. Let's go. Once your vegetables look like a beautiful autumn day, you know you're ready to go on to the next step. So then we're gonna add half a cup of all-purpose flour right to our mixture. We're gonna cook this down. We're gonna get that raw edge, as they say, off. After a minute or two, we're gonna add 4 cups of beef broth, and then make sure you give this a nice mix. There's gonna be some stuff stuck on the bottom. Maybe that flour is a little bit stuck together with the vegetables. Make sure you give this a nice good mix. Once that's well mixed, we're gonna add our delicious browned pieces of steak and any juices. Please don't forget the juices. Add them right to the mixture. Give this a good mix, then top it with your lid. Then this is going into a preheated 250-degree oven for about 3 hours. And you could leave it on the stove at a low simmer, but let the oven do all the hard work. Throw it in the oven and forget about it for a couple of hours. Now, after a couple of hours at 250, we're gonna raise the temp to 325 for the last hour of cooking. Now, once it's done cooking, let this sit on the stove covered for about 30 minutes. Now today I'm being a little bit more of a traditionalist, and I'm gonna serve this over some plain white rice, but you could do this over anything really. Pasta, mashed potatoes I like to do especially sometimes, but today I'm just gonna go simple with the white rice. And there you go, the ultimate beef gravy and rice recipe. I promise this is a staple in my house now. I make this at least once a week. It is so filling, so delicious. The gravy is nice and rich. The meat is super tender. And I love this. I absolutely love this meal. All right, guys, that's it for this video. That's it for me in this video. I'll see you guys in the next video. Subscribe, like, comment. See you in the next one. Hey everyone, today we are going to make some chicken chili. Admittedly, this is my first time making this recipe, but I have a feeling it's going to be amazing. On the table are some of the ingredients we're going to be using. We got a lot of prep work though, so let's get right into it. All right, we're going to start off with about 1 large white onion, and we're going to give this about a medium dice, nothing too crazy. Once it's all diced, we're going to add that right to a bowl. After our onions all taken care of, next we'll do our peppers. We got jalapeno, some red pepper, and a yellow pepper. Where's that more of an orange pepper? Anyway, that's for some flavor, some heat, and some color. The peppers is pretty standard procedure. We're gonna cut off the top, turn it, cut off the bottom. Next, we're gonna cut into it and sort of roll our knife along the inside outer layer, I guess you call it. Take that pit full of seeds and toss it. And you can cut them to make them a little bit more easy to work with. Then we're gonna turn these peppers, cut them into strips, then turn those strips, cut them down to a nice medium dice. Scoop your diced peppers into your bowl with your diced onions, and we're gonna repeat those same steps for our red pepper and our jalapeno. All right, you know how we do? We gotta have that celery too. So we got 2 sticks. We're gonna cut them in half. Same thing, cut them into strips, dice them, then add them to the bowl with the rest of your vegetables. Okay, our chicken. I got some skinless, boneless chicken breasts. Although in this situation, chicken thighs would probably be better and a little bit more flavorful, but chicken breasts will work just the same. We're gonna cut them into some nice sized pieces, hit them with a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of seasoning, and then we're gonna go and brown these. Now keep in mind, after these are fully cooked, we're gonna cut them into bite-sized pieces and then add them back to the chili. But right now, we just wanna get some nice color on them, get them nice and brown, get some nice browning going on in the pot. Dutch oven pot, medium heat, olive oil. Then we're gonna add our chicken. After all our chicken is down, I'm gonna hit mine with a little bit more seasoning. I got some Goya adobo. After about 2 to 3 minutes per side, we're gonna give this a flip once it's nice and brown. 2 to 3 minutes on the other side, then we're gonna remove our chicken. Okay, and once you remove all your chicken, you see this nice browning going on in the bottom of the pot. That's exactly what you want. All that is pure flavor, that is flavor concentrated. I'm gonna add just a little bit more olive oil, then all of our vegetables that we prepped before, right into it. A little bit more seasoning. We're gonna be seasoning every step as we go. We're gonna grab a spoon, start mixing this around, and we're gonna scrape up all of that beautiful fond on the bottom, get it nice incorporated with our onions, let them saute in it a little bit. And if you need a little bit of help, you can add some water, a little bit of white wine, or some of the chicken broth that we're going to be using later. I'm just going to use a little bit of water for now to help you scrape up that beautiful fond on the bottom. Once all your vegetables start to look like this, you know you're golden. You're ready to move on to the next step. We're going to add about 6 ounces of tomato paste. I'm going to cook that, extract even more flavor from it. After a few minutes of letting that tomato paste cook, we're going to add 4 cups of our chicken broth. Give that a nice stir. Then I'm going to add 16 ounces of white beans, drained and rinsed. Stir again. And by now, our chicken breasts are slightly cooled. So what we're going to do is just take them and cut them into nice bite-sized pieces and snack on a few if you want. It's not going to hurt. We're gonna add our chicken back to our simmering pot, juices and all. Okay, now I've also been going a little bit crazy lately with these pepperoncinis, putting them in everything I cook. So I'm gonna add about 3 of these for a little bit of heat and spice and flavor. Then we're gonna add our seasonings. I got about 1/3 to 1/2 cup of chili powder, a little bit more salt and pepper, and a little bit of onion powder and garlic powder. After giving this a good stir, I'm gonna put the lid on mine, put it into a 250 degrees preheated oven, and let this cook for about 3 hours. Okay, it's been a couple of hours. Our chili is nice and thick, looking and smelling amazing. Let's go get this plated up. Okay, now for toppings, I'm gonna keep mine simple. A little bit of shredded cheddar cheese, one of those pepperoncini peppers, and some freshly diced tomatoes. And there you have it, chicken chili, made easy, made delicious. Woo!